everyone. Welcome to the Chronic Health Collective. This isn't just a community, it's your fresh start. We've gathered the best coaches and experts to help you reclaim your energy, heal from the inside out, and live with purpose. Whether you're longing for more energy, deeper healing in your relationships, or a life that feels more aligned and fulfilling, you are not alone anymore. Thank you. Thank you for being here. So, you got Fearless Generations here with you today. I am Kelly Fox and the lovely Terry Sayre. You say hi, Terry.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here.
And we're super excited to have Cable Jones here with us. We haven't really got to know you very well, so I'm excited to have you here.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Great. So this month we've been kind of talking about renewal and growth and momentum. So I figured we kind of talk about that today. So with Fearless Generations, we talk all about mastering fear. What does that look like? How do we do it? Yes, we know we need to do something, but how do we do it? And we give tools and strategies on the how. So, Terry, why don't you tell us when you're coaching someone or we're coaching someone, what is your approach to someone who's really wanting to create momentum with the changes that they're making?
Well, sure. It's interesting that you asked that question because there's a lot of foundational work that clients do that I've done myself in my own journey to freedom. And that is really helping our clients to get to clarity about what they want. If they want to change, then what did they want to change? What did they see in their future? What is their I don't know if I like the word goal. What is their journey and where is it going to lead them? What's their purpose? What's their vision? So it's really not the same for every client. It's helping the client to get to a clear point about what they want. And there's many exercises to go through to get them to that point. And then to help them discover a path. And so we have a lot of interesting and workable theories and practices that help people to identify the fears that are blocking them and how to get off that wheel of fear onto a wheel of freedom. So that's kind of the beginning. Foundational is some kind of clarity through asking them questions and giving them an opportunity to establish that baseline of where they are now and where they want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the first step to any kind of change is awareness. And so you have to be aware of what that is. And once you are, it comes down to a willingness. Are you willing to take the steps? Are you willing to, baby step yourself to new habits and a new mindset so that you can create that consistency in stepping out of your comfort zone? Cable, how do you approach it with your clients?
Well, what came to my mind is I had this high schooler. He was at state for the second time his junior year. He ended up injuring out. He wasn't able to finish his track and field activity, his run. The next year, senior year, he's at state again, and he's like, he runs his first race, and he was like, Cable, I have injured my hip and my groin. I cannot run in my next two races. I run in the next 30 minutes. Can you help me? He called me. I have 30 minutes to run my next two races. What do I do? I wasn't able to finish last year. I have the exact same injury that happened this year. And I started taking him through a series of exercises just there on the phone. Okay, I want you to jump 4 times because he was like stuck to the ground a little too much. Just taking him through all these exercises. Within 30 minutes, he was able to run his next two races. From someone who had a pain of like 100%, he couldn't even walk on his leg, to being able to run the next two races and score All-American. That was high performance, someone that could change a fear, something that was massively causing him trouble, within 30 minutes, overcome that and then run and a score American and go on, and now he's a professional runner as well. Uh, Momentum moved him far beyond what he could have done if he. Luckily, I was there to help him within the 30 minutes and get him to where he needs to go. But often we have fears. We don't know where they're coming from. It's often we tap into the resources around us. Our Sometimes it's our family members, it's a coach, it's a therapist, it's somebody to help us get to those underlying reasons or processes that are keeping us stuck, so we can move forward in a big way.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I know our mindset can really make us feel those feelings like as if we have hurt ourselves, right? And we feel like we can't actually physically move forward. But when we can work with someone like he worked with you, and get our heads out of that space, we can see, oh, that was my fear, not an actual pain, and we can move forward. I think that's one thing that is so powerful with realizing is that regardless if the fear is real or not, if it's physical or emotional, our brain doesn't know the difference. And so it could be a stick or it could be a snake, but our body's going to react the exact same way. And so keeping that in mind, sometimes we have legitimate physical fears, but sometimes even with those in play, there's a layer of emotional fear on top of it that's limiting us or keeping us from progressing and moving forward. I was talking to a new client today about that and how, even though we do have some physical limitations, it doesn't have to stop us in as many of ways as we might be letting it, right? Mm-hmm. Because of the emotional fears that come along with it. Terry, did anything come to you while we've been talking?
Yeah, I think, our whole premise is that fear is what keeps us from moving forward and keeps us stuck in our comfort zone, which is not always comfortable. It's just what we know. And I think that when we can stop and pause and ask ourselves, what need am I trying to meet at this time, and what fear and feelings are keeping me from moving forward? And sometimes the need is very deep seated, and it's helpful to have a coach like you, Caleb, or like us, that can help the client to go beyond the initial feeling of fear into what is the need that's underneath that fear, and how can we bring it to the surface. We can then talk about it, we can think about it, and we can be aware of what it is, because we may think it's fear of failure, but it might be a deep-seated fear of safety. It might be a deep-seated fear of hope or love, and yet it's showing up as not doing something that we may not be successful at. So there's a lot of work to be done emotionally when those fears are keeping us from realizing our dreams, our goals, our hopes, and being the person that we were created to be, which is in freedom, where we can make choices based upon reality and what our basic needs are. So fear is tricky. It's really tricky, and it's much more complex than people believe it to be. And that idea that Kelly brought up of emotional fear and physical fear, as a parent, as a grandparent, you want to teach your children to be safe physically, but a lot of times the things that we do and say really capture emotional fear, and they don't then take that action to move forward in their lives because there's that fear based to an emotion rather than to something physical. So I think it really makes it a very complex venue to navigate fear itself. So that's I think that was a good example of what you did with that young gentleman, and what Kelly was doing with her client this morning as well.
Yeah, I love that. And I love, Cable, that you work with kids, because I feel like, when we're older, right? Like in our 40s or 60s or however however old we are when we come to start doing this type of work and moving past our fears, we have all of this evidence, and all of this, all of these limiting beliefs that have built up for that long, right? And so it might be a little bit more of a challenge to let them go. But when you're starting out younger, where you're still, hopeful and have the energy and, the, I don't want to say naive, but I can't think of another word, but that,
Yeah, naive is fine. Yeah, that's
of life, it seems like it might be less challenging to let go of some of those habits or beliefs at a younger age. Do you find that to be true?
I think naive is a perfect word to use. Off, what's the word? Naive is like you don't know about something, and I'm listening to people's words. If I had a child who was having difficulty in school, and he was like, "Yeah, well, my eraser, his name's Pete, and my finger, his name's Bob," and he had several parts things around him, and also his body parts that had names. So I, in maybe another adult's life or parents, they're like trying to get that person away from, like, hey, this eraser doesn't have a name. This, like, I just immediately started asking him, so, well, what does Pete and Bob want? And got through to helping him change faster. If you have friends and they're not specifically friends that you're on the outside of you that you normally think, but if your eraser is a friend, okay, what does your friend say that he wants to do in life? It allows the person to, like, the person, the outside people are scary to me. I'm going to create friends that aren't as scary to me. So I can talk to those, I can talk through what I need to with these friends instead of those friends out there. It's usually speaking to the person, listening to what they're saying. If the person says, I'm between, and an adult would be, I'm between a rock and a hard place. Okay, can you draw what a rock? How large is a rock? How's the other place? How narrow is it? where are you, like, really? What type of fear are they under? And once you elucidate what's the full issue is, then you're able to move those children and adults to a new level of understanding, where the children tend to have really fast they can overcome things very fast. I've had students that have been in remedial math and reading, and then within 24 hours they're in the advanced level reading and math. And the parents like, how did they do this? Like, let me check in to see how they did that. And they have capacity to move on if they have a new way of seeing the world. And I help them see the world in a new way.
Yeah, that is so awesome. Yeah, I find that my kids are really, they get over things fast. Like, they're really mad, and then 5 minutes later, they're happy and they're having fun. Right? They can shift from one emotion to the other pretty quickly. Where for me, I don't shift that fast. Right? So I love that it's opening their eyes to a different way of looking at something, a different way of feeling about something. That can be really powerful in shifting those perceptions, those filters, those thought processes when it comes to fear as well. And that's why the first step is awareness, right? Becoming aware of why we don't necessarily go into the past and dissect, something like that, but right here in this moment, you have this going on, and how do you want to move forward with it? How can we shift it from here? How can we let go of this and take hold of that? Right. So I think, though, that for me, even big part for me is it comes to willingness, and how willing are you to do the work, to embrace the new perceptions, or to embrace the new habits, or to practice those proactive behaviors, or whatever it might be. How willing are you to do that? And that willingness can change, minute by minute for some people, day by day for others, and how do you kind of keep that willingness level up? Like, is there any tips or tools that you have for yourself or for your clients to help that willingness level stay up so that work happens?
Now, in my space, well, if I were to think of what you were specifically just saying, I often what's that universal law? Give, receive, and if the person's giving all the time, but they never receive, they have a flat tire. They don't ever receive, so they're give, and they're like, man, I'm just not getting. I'm not rolling forward. I'm not. You said willingness, a will. I automatically thought about this law of give and receive. And even when I'm walking down the street, someone asks me for change, I can like do some exercise, some jumping jacks all of a sudden, like, look, I'm changing. Or I can also say, I'm going to give, receive. But first I say to the person, hey, do you have $1 you can give me? And some of those people say, yeah, I've got $1. That's all I have. I said, great. And I can give you $2. Or they give me 25 cents and I give them 50 cents. It's some sort of give receive that happens. But some of them say, no, I don't have anything. I need money. I need as much as, and it's like, well, if I just keep on giving, they continue on their flat tire life. And they need to be able to, I need to be able to receive, and then I can give, and then that circle, my willingness to move forward in life. Sometimes we just need to check, do I have flat tires? Have I been just giving so much in my life that I don't have a tire to drive on any longer? I need to go pump up all my tires and then make sure that I give receive is good balance in my life.
I love that. I love that analogy. We'll come back and talk about that a little bit more. We're going to take our first break right now.
When you look in the mirror, do you see skin that's just dry, tired, and stressed? It's time for a new ritual. Introducing Deep Love, the blue botanical face cream by Coolness. We've captured their tranquil essence of blue botanicals in a cloud-soft formula that deeply soothes irritation and restores your natural, healthy glow. This isn't just skincare. It's an act of self-care. It's deep love. Find your calm only at coolness.com. Scan the QR code now to visit our website.
Welcome back. Welcome back. So we were talking about checking with ourselves to see if we have a flat tire. And I love that analogy. And Terry and I have talked about having reciprocity. I can't say that word right. In relationships. And I think it's also important with a client coach relationship as well. But I thinking about myself, as a mom or a wife, even, I give a lot, and with my kids, don't always receive. Right. So that'll be interesting to think about and talk about with my kids, of saying, maybe I'm a flat tire mom right now. And so you guys need to step up and start helping out so that I can pump myself back up.
It's not always that you'll give it directly from the person that you're giving to your children, give, but there's a lot of receive that you can get by going. So where do I go out and make sure I have sufficient interaction with my friends, my coworkers. There's a lot of people I can receive good things from. So I keep my tire. It's not always direct reciprocity. Your children actually do give you a lot of return. And keep that tires, or you wouldn't be here on the podcast right now if you weren't receiving sufficient so your tires can move forward. A lot of people out there, though, are sleeping all day long. They don't know what's going to happen in the future. They do have flat tires. They've just given so much that they've not gotten anything in return. It's good to think to themselves, how could I put together the process of return, receive? How can I receive? There's something, and there might be they're not receiving love themselves. How receive? I mean, I'm really good at giving, but I'm just not really good at receiving. How can I receive? It's like, maybe you go to the water park and the water's splashing on you, like, wow, I'm receiving a lot of water in this slide. That was a lot. I'm going to do that one more time. Get a little even more about water, but it can feel like emotions hitting their face. It's like, you know what? I'm going to do that one more time. And so you can start small with receiving, and then you can think about, well, what else do I want to receive? And what else do I want to receive? In my entire career, I've thought about, I want to work with the top 5 athletes of the world. And just even thinking about I can work with the top athlete. I was in a hardware store in the town where I lived, and I noticed that in the aisle that I was shopping, the Jamaican bobsled captain, he's competed twice in the Olympics. He was in the same aisle as I, and I studied up on his life. I wanted to know if he could go back for a third time to the Olympics. And he's like, Cable, I'm 58 years old. I am like, totally, it takes a lot of power and strength. This is like, I know, but if I had the money, I'd sponsor you to go back a third time to the Olympics. But I also, in that same moment, I kind of like, but I kind of like look at myself. I'm not really an athlete myself, but I want to help the top athlete. And he said a statement in that moment that was just hit me massively amazing. He's like, Cable, as pro athlete, I don't look a book by its cover. We don't look at our coaches like a book by its cover. We look for the inside. And I was just like, that makes so much sense. Sometimes we have books that don't have the best cover, but they have so amazing insights. And so even in our life process, maybe we feel like we're giving, but there's most of the time we are receiving. We just need to, like, okay, how can I receive life even better than I have up to this point? And so our giving can balance out with our receiving.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's really
go
true.
ahead, Terry.
No, I just think that a lot of times when I'm working with some of the networking groups that I work with and organizations that I belong to with women entrepreneurs, one of the things that they talk about is the balance of giving and receiving, and how sometimes in our lives we give and expect to receive without even asking. And that sometimes it's really important to have the courage to ask for what we need in order to receive. And so I've learned in my more mature years that it's important to ask if I'm feeling lonely and I feel like I've given a lot, that I will ask one of my children or one of my friends, let's go to lunch. Why don't we do a book group, or what, some way to receive that support from them in a way that nourishes my soul, and ask for that. And a lot of times people think you don't need to receive anything because you're at this level of performance and you're giving the best you can give and they're appreciating it, and yet they don't see inside how maybe you're lonely, or you just want to receive more love, more acceptance. And I think I've learned in my later years to ask when I feel that way, that I would like to receive more attention. I'll ask for it. And then that helps to fill up my my cup or my tire or whatever you want to say, so that I have that reciprocity of not only giving but receiving, and that feels really good, really good. Yeah. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think sometimes people are giving to us, but we're blocking it. And so, it's, are you willing to receive as well? Are you willing to take in someone's compliment, or are you willing to accept an invitation? Are you willing to, go and do things for yourself, with the self-care, or are you blocked off to that? I have a friend where she just doesn't see any of what people are doing for her, because she doesn't trust it. And so I think that's another place to look. If you feel like you're not receiving, you're just giving, is look at it, is someone giving maybe not the way that you think it should look like, but they're giving the way that they can. Because that's something that even I had to look at and say, okay, they're not doing this, which is what I would like, but they're doing this, which is nice. And so I'll focus on what they're doing. Right. And then I receive in the way that they can give. But what you were saying earlier, yes, my kids do give and I do receive.
Oh, yeah.
They're very loving.
Oh, good.
But yeah, I think, going out and seeking that connection or whatever it is through to meet your needs from multiple sources, not just looking towards one, because that can be a little counterproductive if we're looking to only one source to meet our needs, right? And so I think that, with all of this awareness that you can gain, and then, supporting yourself to give and receive, to keep that wheel moving with momentum, what is the next step to take us to even another level of where we want to be? How are we even clear on staying on that path that we want to stay on, experiencing those things we want to experience, shifting if it needs to be shifted, keeping that awareness open so that we're going the right direction, if that makes sense.
Well, if I fear, I'm giving myself fear, so I receive more fear. We get better at knowing what we're giving and receiving by knowing about this process. Often it's like, okay, what money am I giving? If I'm giving the person on the street, the homeless man, something, what am I getting? It took me several times of, okay, give. It's like, man, I want to see if I can help change perspective in the moment, and how much my change of perspective can change their perspective, even just a little bit. And I've learned, so then you get just better at, well, how am I feeling? What am I giving to myself? Am I giving myself fear? And so I get fear back. If I give myself freedom, and you've been speaking about openness, how to be open. I was like, oh, that's like a increase of freedom. How can I be more open to receiving something different? Well, you have to be more open to giving yourself freedom to get more freedom in your life. And so it's often an education. You start with, you don't have you've got a new perspective. So you grow yourself up to see a new horizon, a new community of life process. If you're feeling small and you're in the depression of life, this hole, and you look up, and I've literally had people like, I want you to tell me what, when you look up, you're in depression, and they look up, it's like, wow, my hole is like a big well, and it's 100 feet up. I can see a little tiny circle of light up there. It's like, wow, you're in this huge, deep hole. That is massive depression. Okay, how can we grow up your perspective so you can maybe grow up and just step out of the hole? 100 feet, how do you do that? Or you start knocking down the sides so you can like move yourself up as the dirt falls down below your feet. If the person can visualize themselves stepping out, getting out of that hole in some way, maybe calling out for help. They can't call out for help. It's like, okay, how can I get this person to get out of that space that holds them captive?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that visual. I have it in my phone. I look at it periodically of the guy in the hole and a ladder coming down into the hole, and then and the ladder having great big between the rings, great big spaces, and then smaller spaces, so that you can see it's just a small step at a time to receive that feeling of accomplishment, right? When you receive that feeling, I did that, no matter how small it is, that gives you the ability to give a little more effort, right? And I receive a little more the word I'm trying to come up, a little more of a feeling of accomplishment. Okay, I'll take the next step, and then I receive that feeling again. So sometimes it's giving an action and receiving the feeling, right? Receiving the progress, receiving that mental image of I can climb out of this hole. And I think of that whenever as a human being, whenever I get into that hole, I think of that ladder. And what are those little steps I can take that will build my confidence to take the next step, and receive the confidence? And so it's an image that I keep in my mind that helps me when I fall into the hole.
Yeah, for sure. And just having that support system around you, either a coach or a friend or a therapist or whoever that person is that you can count on, who can speak down to you in that hole and say, hey, there's hope, you can get out, right? And help them think of ways, like Cable said, break down the walls, or grow taller, or ask for a rope, right? Like there's different ways and it works differently for everyone. And how can you personally take those steps to get out? And some of them might be similar to the tools that Terry and I teach, or things that Cable teaches, or things that one of the other coaches in this collective teaches. There's lots of amazing people out there supporting people to brainstorm every kind of way of how to get out of that hole. And so it's going out and seeking out the person who is sharing the way that works for you, right? So that you have that way of moving out and keeping your momentum going.
It might be
mm-hmm.
It might be as simple. I mean, the image that came to my mind, I felt like someone needed to hear this. Often it's like not the rope, it's not the ladder, it's like they take a special. It's like, well, what if you grabbed one of those clouds, you pull it down into your space, and then you just float up and out of there.
I love that.
That seems so not doable in my mind, but in their mind, 100%. Yeah, I can just float right out of there. And some of our more logical people like, no, that was the craziest thing you ever thought it was. But for that person, that 100% worked. It's like, I would not have even expected that they could float right out of there. But on that cloud, they floated right out of there. And it's like, Cable, I'm feeling so much better. How did you know that a cloud would just float me right out? I was like, I didn't know until I was talking to you. And then I got the idea that you could float out on a cloud, and then it worked for you. And that was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's your perception and insight as a coach, is to listen for those clues, right? To listen to what is it that this person, because every person that we work with is a unique person with talents and skills that they may not even know they have, right? And so there's not a prescription, there's not a script that we can follow. It's more or less being very intuitive and listening, and maybe even mirroring back to the person what you're seeing, and maybe they haven't even seen it in themselves before. Yeah, that's a great example.
Yeah, great discussion. I am excited to keep going, but right now we are going to take another break.
When you look in the mirror, do you see skin that's just dry, tired, and stressed? It's time for a new ritual. Introducing Deep Love, the blue botanical face cream by Coolness. We've captured their tranquil essence of blue botanicals in a cloud-soft formula that deeply soothes irritation and restores your natural, healthy glow. This isn't just skincare, it's an act of self-care. It's deep love. Find your calm only at coolness.com. Scan the QR code now to visit our website.
Welcome back, everybody. We are just moving along here, and I'm super excited to continue this conversation. I am hoping that all of you who are watching are loving it as well. I'm going to assume you are. So we've been talking a lot about momentum, how to keep that momentum going, how to see ourselves get out of maybe a give situation where we can start to receive, how we can move ourselves out of a hole that we might feel that we're stuck in. Even sometimes we're stuck in a rut, and it's going to take something unique to us to move us out of it, to move us through it. And so we've been talking a lot about awareness and willingness. And this month, we are talking about growth and renewal and momentum. And so I think that what we've been addressing has been speaking to that. And I just want to kind of open it up to either of you. Is there something that comes to mind with this month's topic that you would like to bring up and have a group discussion on?
So, balance and flow. Often in balance, homeostasis is maybe a medical term. Homeostasis means the balancing out. In order to overcome wounds in our life, you have to balance first. Stage 1 of wound healing is balance or homeostasis. Your body has to get to a point like, oh, what just happened to me? And once you can balance, then you can move into the next step of wound healing would be inflammation. You can't move to inflammation until you actually, your body even like, okay, Annie, are you okay? It's like, okay, that CPR phrase we learned way back when we were in CPR is to help the body get to a point where it can kind of like, am I okay? Is everything going okay for me? What's going on here? And once you get, so you're trying to get to an ultimate health space, but you have to also start your initial healing with a sort of balance before you can start even healing beyond that point. And that is speaking about when we're like, wow, I'm in fear. How do I get out of this? Taking advantage of your resources, yourself, others, your therapist, your coach, your retreats, going on retreats is a kind of like step into a space of safety where you can get that safety and then move forward in a much faster way than you have up to that point. Often people just don't know, and even like in addiction, I know it's described like a fear is kind of coming from the back of the head, and then they go safety. You're eating a lot, some sort of addiction, and then you go back to fear. You're running, go to safety. It's like, man, why am I keep on eating? It's like, well, eating is your safe space. And then you come to the front of that's a new higher level thought process. Relax, but they never get to relax. They're always like, fear, safety. It's like, man, how do I get to? It's like they have to do something new, something different, and so I even teach exercises where they can step into safety, from safety to relaxation, higher level thought process. Then they're like, oh, I got new ideas I'd never had before. It's like, I know you've never been able to get to this new level of thinking because you were just going back and forth here, and you need to get to this higher level thought process.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I used to teach kindergarten. And so I would tell rudimentally explain how the brain works, because after all, if you're an educator, what's the organ you're working with, right? The brain. So it would be nice if children sort of understood at a very basic level how their brain worked. So, the brain stem where the fear resides, I labeled that your dinosaur brain. Well, dinosaurs didn't have much, they had no language. They had, brute force, they ate each other, whatever there. And then we call the limbic system your feeling brain. And I had a little fuzzy kitty there, little cat. This is your feeling brain. And then here is your thinking brain. So you have the capacity, I would tell the kids, you can, when you are in fear and anger, you can shift your thoughts and your actions from that to where you're thinking. and where you're feeling. If I'm going to hit somebody, how's that going to feel to them? And what can I think to do instead? So kind of a very simplified version of what you were saying of fear, thinking, and then reflecting was what I was trying to help them understand, that their brain has that capacity. Our brain can, and they're 4 and 5 years old. They don't have the multitude of experiences and thoughts that we have stored in our system. And yet it works for us too, just like you said. We can recognize that fear and anger are controlling our actions and behaviors. And we can start to say, how does that make me feel? What can I do different? Kind of the same process, but in a very simple way.
Yeah,
And then
love it.
they would say, I would see them out on the playground. They'd be going, like, so what are you doing? I'm shifting to my thinking brain. And it was so cute that they were getting it. They were getting that idea that they have control when they're angry. They don't have to hit somebody. They don't have to, there's other ways to think, which was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The more awareness we have, right, that the awareness that we are going from fear to safety, fear to safety, fear to safety, that we're eating because that calms down our fear, that we're over exercising, that we're drinking, that we're doing whatever it is, right, that we're using to take us to that safety place, is being motivated by that fear. And how can we make a change where we do something that moves us into that thinking brain and that relaxed state? I think that realization can help you with the shifting, because you can realize before you start eating, oh, okay, I'm wanting to start mindlessly eating. What can I do instead? And shift ourselves into that thinking brain to do something else that will actually support us, that we're not going to beat ourselves up for later, or whatever it might be. I think that is definitely supportive. And I think the more you can stay in that thinking brain, or stay in the flow of proactive behaviors and momentum of stepping out of your comfort zone and taking risks and taking those baby steps and working what works, right? As we continue in that flow, that energy, you know, the more often we can do it, the longer we can do it, and the faster we can shift from fear to flow, right? Because we become more aware of it and comfortable in the flow, because it's where we're living more often.
Yeah.
Well, it makes me think about, you said openness. It's being open to possibilities and living in the moment. At this moment, I can be open to thinking a different way. I can feel a different way. I can speak, act a different way. And that's being open to possibilities. And as a coach or a therapist, or we can help to guide our clients to discover those opportunities and those options by helping them, develop a list of proactive behaviors that they can do rather than the self-destructive behaviors, until they become instinct and natural and embedded in their bones that they're going to do this when they get that fearful feeling. This is a proactive behavior I can take that will help me to see the possibilities of moving forward, not in fear, but in freedom.
Yeah. All right, well, we are coming down to a close here, and I want to definitely give everyone the opportunity to reach out to either of us. So, Cable, what is the best way of people getting a hold of you?
Well, on the bottom of the screen there, you can see speaktoCable.com, realtimehealer@gmail.com, Instagram.com, Realtime Healing LLC. You can reach me there. That's probably the easiest. You can schedule sessions with me, speak with me about these topics that we talked about, how to overcome fear, move forward in a big way in your life. It can be overcoming fear. It can also become how to get your next big win. break through your obstacles. I'm a high performance coach, real-time healer. I help you get higher level of performance in areas that can be in sports. It can be in life, in your personal life, in your professional life. Help your brain move faster than it's ever moved. There's all sorts of different areas that people want higher performance. And so I help in all those different areas.
That is so awesome. And I've loved getting to know you and hear about what it is that you do. Hear, a couple situations that you've in which you've supported your clients, and just get a clearer understanding of who Cable is.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I love this opportunity. Terry and I, you can find us at fearlessgenerations.org, on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We're Fearless Generations. You can watch or listen to our podcast on Spotify under Fearless Generations. We have 10 years of episodes there. You can go check those out. Or if you want to email us, kelly@fearlessgenerations.org. But on our website, you can set up an appointment with either Terry or I. And we also have our retreat coming up in October. So you can definitely go check that out and see if it's something that appeals to you. We're going to be talking about all the tools that we shared today and many, many more. So definitely go check that out. So one last thing I want to ask is, Cable, what is something about you that most people don't know? Some cute
Put me
little
on the
fact.
spot.
Yep.
If someone doesn't know it, I don't know it either. How would I? Something that someone doesn't else know. I mean, I believe everyone knows everything that they need to know in the moment that they need to know it. So, but at this one moment, I just don't know the answer to that question.
It's all good. It's all good. I already know everything about Terry, so I couldn't think of one for her. But it's fun to just get to know each other.
Tell me something I don't know. Please tell me the one thing you wanted to know that you didn't know about me. Tell me that one thing.
Let's see. Do you have kids?
No.
Okay. I didn't know.
People just ask me that one question. It's like, do you have kids? Like, does that matter in life to have children or not? The people who just had that question over and over and over again. It's like, do I have superhero skill sets? I do. Do you? Superhero skill sets?
All right. You could have shared that. I didn't know you had superhero skill sets.
I know. I opened it up, and now we received the one question that is.
That'll be my question next time. What is your superpower?
I do help a lot of children. I do help a lot of children. So, do I have children? No, not any of my own. Am I a child often? Do I regress to a younger age? Yes, a lot of adults regress to younger ages. They find themselves like, I don't know what's going on. It's like, you've recently regressed to 6 years old. That makes so much sense. And I help them grow back up again. So, yeah, we sometimes become children in our own
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely feel right around the age of my kids a lot of times.
Yeah.
So, and my kids are 9 to 23.
Probably my answer, if somebody asked me if I didn't have children of my own, if they asked me that question, I'd say, you know what? I've influenced hundreds of children in my profession as a teacher, and I feel as each one of them is my own.
Yeah.
The feared question, I got it, and I got taken out.
It's all good. We found out that you have superpowers. So,
yeah.
So that's exciting. All right. Well, thank you everybody for being here with us. We're super excited to have you. If today's episode spoke to you, don't go it alone. Book your free consult with one of our expert coaches at chronichealthcollective.com for your personalized support. Subscribe to our monthly magazine for expert tips from all 11 coaches to elevate your health, mindset, and relationships. Catch us live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central, or watch past episodes anytime on E360 TV or youtube.com/at Chronic Health Collective. Thanks for tuning in. I think that was supposed to be separate. Collective, thanks for tuning in. Your transformation starts now. See you next week.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Caleb.
Yeah.